Hi there, it's Andrew Park again, and let's chat about record keeping when we onboard and mentor new staff in the vocational sector. And today, something that I've always been really passionate about is trainers under supervision. That's the people that are industry experts, passionate about what they are going to deliver. They're subject matter experts, and I'd add the comment, they're good at stand-up comedy. Because, if you're going to stand up in front of a group of people, you need to be able to talk confidently. So, RTO coordinators, managers, CEOs, or anyone required to sign off on the fit and proper person's requirements, I think this is for you. So, I've always started a discussion with my teams and industry personnel who want to hear my thoughts, however few there are. When we're working on PD, adjusting course programs, traditional delivery durations, my trigger point of unduly short courses, or any variation on the documentation and the stepping, the processes we have and the bouncy ball processes, any variations. Here's what I ask you to do, and I put that to you and the people who are listening. Always put yourself in an audit years from now. So if someone asks you to adapt, change, onboard, change a process, emulate an audit, sit yourself in that audit, and then ask yourself, can you confidently back your decisions? Doesn't matter whether you're there or not in the years to come, okay? But if you were to be, back yourself. And I'm not talking verbal here, I'm talking about the organisation's policies and procedures, and if you're not with an organisation, find some, emulate it, course proposals, industry consultation, PD records, get a good understanding of, what's in a document registry and what the policies and procedures are, and follow that bouncy ball, document it. And now let's chat about, did you do a right thing? Did you do it well? And did you have an understanding of the impact against the standards, and are you confident in what you did? Because, you can bring 100 practitioners in the room. There's probably going to be 40 plus different ways of doing what you think is the way. Doesn't mean you're wrong or they're wrong. It's about what the auditor accepts as a confident, valid and compliant process. And they can be different. So let's talk about a trainer under supervision. And let's just jump straight into it. I once had a complaint. Had a self-appointed secret investigator announced to me that we'd done the horrific thing. We'd had unskilled trainers. We were horrible people, and it was a bit of a blow because we had at the time for years successfully transitioned trainers through. Not everyone got through, and we had a number of people in our organisation at the time that were trainers under supervision. And it didn't shock us, it did shock us, but it didn't scare us because we had everything documented. And let's go through that. So if you're going to put a trainer under supervision, here's what we did. And for me, I guess I'd say, I can't go into the mind of the people making the complaints. Are they poor attempts of sabotage or is it just dopey incompetence? I'm not sure. I'm not going to lay awake at night trying to work that out. And I don't have to lay awake at night worrying if it's not documented. And again, everything I say about the sector is nothing verbal counts. Documentation is critical. So, when a person claims that they were delivering training and signing off on documentation, they weren't qualified, the alarm bell should go off, because if that is happening, it's not cool. But let's talk about what we did. Now, when we onboarded this person, we checked. They have industry currency. My team vetted them, they met them, documented. When we worked with the client, because we were delivering pre-employment in a particular program space on a premises, we sat down, we documented, and we explained what we were doing and the skill sets involved, documented. We engaged an expert contract trainer, an external trainer, to mentor, documented, including on every invoice. Okay, we allocated internal staff weekly in trainers and the management team, the coordination team, to support this process the individual and the individuals involved in this process. We've been doing it for years and we continue to do it for years. Document it. We ensured when we supported their enrolment in the TAE, the external RTO delivering that training had a full understanding of what we were doing with a trainer under supervision, who was a key point of contact. We paid for everything. There was no pressure on that. They were on a payroll and it was all well documented. There was communication documented. We ensured the students knew. Really, really important stuff documented. And we, in accordance with all the standards at the time, and when I say at the time is standards change. So it's about what you did at the time, not now. That's really, really critical. It's about not what's happening now. It's about what were the standards at the time. Everything was co-signed, everything was properly dealt with against the policies and procedures and the standards at the time and the contracts at the time. Documented. So, years later, when this popped up, it was like, what the hell moment? There was no panic. It was just about allocating the time to go into the student management process, so the management system, download all this extensive documentation that existed and hand it over and let those experts go away and deal with it. And that's literally what happened. It went away because it was dealt with. It wasn't an issue. But can you imagine what would happen to an organisation you worked in as a trainer, a manager, an owner of a business when none of that was documented? And then years go by and those great auditors and those self-appointed secret investigator style auditors come along and start poking around and becomes verbal. And again, there's the crashing point of quality training. Nothing verbal counts. So look, I hope that helps. It's a really critical one because I'm really passionate about people being given a taste test and being supported. And look, in the case of the particular person, we didn't just send them packing. We actually skilled them up in another area in the organisation and they were around for quite a bit more time. But it's all about documentation. And in years to come, it's not about if you're there in the audit, it's the documentation is there in the audit. If you want to survive for years in the vocational marketplace, your reputation is on how you conduct yourself across all the organisations. I hope this information was well. Look forward to chatting next time.